Like you've been saying in this entire conversation, there's certainly a lot that remains to be seen. I think you've had 15 to 20 or so questions that you think still remain unanswered. We see phase one with the hostages being released. Now, when you're looking at phase two and the rest of President Trump's 20-point peace plan, what specifically are you looking out for next?
So we have one point of the 20 points which has been agreed to, which is the exchange of hostages for Palestinian terrorists. But moving forward, there's an additional 19 that we have to focus on. And I actually wrote a piece in the Middle East Forum Observer today called "The Ghost of Gaza," which really goes into this, into the minutia. And I won't belabor your audience with the very, very fine details, but I'll give you a few examples. Look at Palestinian medical systems inside of Gaza. There was 14 hospitals operating in the Gaza Strip prior to the war. Now most of them are inoperable. One of the reasons why they ended up becoming centers of conflict was because Hamas used them as operating bases and military headquarters. When they had cancer patients trying to get an MRI, there was a tunnel beneath which was holding Israeli hostages in the basement cellar of the hospital. So the humanitarian systems, the medical systems, the school systems in Gaza have to be excised of Hamas, and they have to be replaced with moderate Palestinians or moderate international observers that will be able to create just a simple operating civil society that does not have the influence of the terror organization. More than that, you have to have checks and balances for the import of concrete, of wastewater treatment systems, of foods and goods and other things which are needed just for everyday life. To be able to do that, you have to have partners on the ground that you can cooperate with, and you have to have an international monitoring mechanism that has teeth, not something where you just have a clerk with a clipboard sort of signing off, making sure that things go in, but someone who can actually say, look, this is a violation, you can't do this. And we have the means to be able to enforce the agreement that Hamas put forward or that Hamas agreed to. I think the last thing that you need is you have to have the willpower of the Palestinian people to adopt a national identity which is about being Palestinian, which is about being Gazan, and is not about being anti Israel and anti Semitic. They have to be proud to be who they are where they live and not to have some false pipe dream of being able to live in Tel Aviv or take over the lands of the southern Israel Negev desert. They have to focus on developing themselves in the place where they live and to make Gaza a great place to live after all the horror which has taken place there for the past 2 years. If they can do that, rebuild humanitarian systems, get good governance going on a local level, I really think there's a hope for implementation of phase two. That's a pretty high bar, and it's going to require a lot of grit on behalf of the Palestinians and the international community to get there.
President Trump